Hello, everybody, and welcome to Plugin School World Building. My name is Karistina Lafae, and I'm your host. My wonderful co-host is Tomas. Um, Tomas already shared the link in chat to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Karistina where you can see recordings from these classes every week. A little behind working on it, but they'll be there eventually. This week we are talking about world building plugins, world building as a concept and world building as a variable to look in that section of Story Bible. Um, Not all world building plugins will use the plugin variables, which are these curly brackets with either world building inside or world building underscore raw. Those variables will tell the plugin to look specifically at your world building information. If you add the raw part to it, it will look at all of the world building information you have, no matter how extensive it is. And if you only use the world building variable without raw at the end, it will either, if you have a brief world building section, it will look at all of it, but if it has more than, I think it's like 700 words, it will then decide what the important information is, and it will summarize it for the AI before the plugin starts working. So we have both of those options available to us. Didn't think about it, but I can. No. Okay, that's not working today. So we will go to the plugin directory by clicking on the plugin menu and clicking on Explore Plugins. You can also bookmark this, but I try to demonstrate how I get there every time. We're just going to look at a blank plugin creation thing so I can show you the world building variables here. And when you're building plugins, it will show you this information so you know what you're working with. If you're using plugins, you may not know which version of the variable it's looking at, unless the plugin author tells you in the description. And I do encourage letting your users know what versions of the variables you're using when writing plugins. Okay, now we do have an entire world building category of plugins. So you can go to, oh, I did it again. I closed that window, and what we wanted to look at was the plugin directory. Right here in the menu on the side is world building. You can click on that and you can see all of the plugins that people have written and placed in the world building category. It is not the most extensive category of plugins that exists, but there are some fun ones, and we are going to take a look at them. The first one we're going to look at is called Extract Your World Building Sonnet. It was created by JP, and it specifically looks at your highlighted text, preceding text, brain dump synopsis characters, both optimized and raw, and outline to identify and categorize important world building elements. Basically, this is going to look at your prose, and if you haven't filled out the world building part of Story Bible, this will help you fill it out by breaking it down into the subtypes, the 12 predefined categories of setting, lore, organization, key event, magic system, clue, item, technology, government, economy, culture, and religion. Those are the different categories that Sudowrite has defined that you can choose for world building entries. You can also create your own custom type, but for this plugin, it's going to extract specifically this information. And it will, if you look at the instructions here that the AI sees, it will break it down into each of the different trait fields that appear for each world building type. Um, when you see here organization, there's name, other names, goals, history, and headquarters. And those are things you would actually see in the world building section, is all of those different fields for the traits of the organization. So we're going to go to, with this is Extract Your World Building Sonnet. I have a story that I never actually wrote. Takes place in what I call the fairy sphere. And let's just see what, actually, no, I have a story engine chapter I can run this on. No, brain dump's probably more appropriate for this. Or we might see on both. We're going to see Extract Your World Building. We're just going to click that right in our menu. And since it's a Sonnet plugin, the Claude models tend to take a little bit longer to think because they are so intelligent. So you just have to wait for the information to start to show up because it does take a little longer to process. So let's see. Thank you for providing the detailed context, blah, blah, blah. So we have a setting, fairy sphere, which is the setting of the story. Massive Dyson sphere with a diameter of 2 trillion miles, which is just like mind-boggling, but that's what I decided on for this. Surrounding the triple star system of Alpha Centauri, contains various biospheres and levels with different gravitational forces, climates, and purposes. And it lists the location. We also have Brilliant Garden, which is a location within fairy sphere, possibly near one of the poles. A vibrant and lush region within the fairy sphere where winged fairies thrive. Suggestion: describe the sights, sounds, and scents of this beautiful garden paradise. Since I didn't give it any of that information, it's kindly telling me what's missing. We have lore, we have the luminari, the chemnio. This actually is a word. I don't know how to pronounce it in its proper language, which I think might be Russian. Could be wrong. And then it lists not just as lore, but organization is the luminari and the chemniosh. We have some key events. We have the magic system. We have a clue, the energy anomaly that is going to drive the plot. Item is a celestial key. Technology, Dyson sphere, government, council of elders. So we have all 12 of these things, which it got from my brain dump, which is, as you see here, only 636 words, but it came up with over 1,000 words to break down into world building cards for me. And that cost 8,645 credits. Which it is a little pricey if you're watching your credits, but if you have some pros and you don't want to have to break down if you don't want to have to break it down into the world building cards yourself, you can just highlight the text and run it. And I'm just going to run it on this. You can see how old this story is. It was conceived of when we had Story Engine instead of Story Bible, and I have not touched it since. So, in giving it this chapter instead of my brain dump, we've got two settings with Brilliant Garden and Fairy Sphere. We've got lore. We've got organizations again. We have key events. Although it has additional details because this chapter has more specific information that wasn't included in the brain dump. It describes the magic system, gives us a clue, the item again, the technology, government, culture. We have more about culture. This time we get traditions and customs, language and dialects, arts and entertainment. We have religion. This came up with quite a bit of information for us as well. And this cost 9,976 credits, so a little bit more, but we did feed it 1,300 words, and it came back with 1,452 words. So you're getting a chunk of information, and it's all organized into the way that you will copy and paste it into your world building section. Which unfortunately, since we can't import world building yet, it does have to be done manually, like I said, with the copying and pasting. But that is, I find that a really helpful plugin that I use on my my main project, my novel. It's the first in a series that I've been working on forever, and eventually I will finish it. All right. Then we have a different plugin called Worldbuilding Elements Mixtral version. This was created by Nicole Broussard, one of my fellow ambassadors and teachers. Generates genre-appropriate world-building elements for your story. It reads brain dump, genre, and characters. You can highlight up to 3,000 words of text, and it uses the Mixtral Instruct model, which is super cheap. So, let us see what happens if we go back up here and highlight this chapter and have it also read brain dump and genre and see what it comes up with for world building elements. Okay, so this is not giving you the information in easy to copy and paste stuff for the world building cards, but this is good for general world building purposes. We have the detailed setting, which it gives me it's pretty faithful to what I created. Rich history and culture. It includes believing in the Firebird, which is the triple star system at the center of the world, their source of light and life, complex societies, language and communication, magic or technology. They have both. But also because this is taking place in a Dyson sphere, the technology is considered natural. Religion and beliefs again, ecology and geography, economy and trade, conflict and tension, and character perspectives. And this was 461 words of information that we can use to further develop our world that we created here. And this one, using Mixtral Instruct, 410 credits. Super cheap. You can run it on multiple chapters to get more information to help you build off of the world you've already created, and to get more suggestions to go with that. So this is a nice inexpensive plugin you can use to help you with the world building you're doing in your head, not just in your story Bible. Then we have something called Prequel Simulator. This was a plugin created by Imani. Medium credit usage. not sure what model it uses, so we'll have to see how it works. This plugin will simulate a prequel or background information to the story you have already started. Example input: what happened prior to the beginning of this story that makes the character behave this way? Example output: Luke was a great guy, but after getting his heart stomped on over time by his okay. Um, so this is looking at preceding text and highlighted text. I thought that I must have been getting this confused with a different plugin because I thought this looked at Story Bible. So this would be more helpful if it did look at Story Bible. But I suppose we can do. I'm not sure how this is supposed to work. Is it preceding? Please generate a prequel for the following. Here, this passage of text. Rewrite the text to add more background information and scenes that occurred prior to the beginning of this story's synopsis. So I don't know which is the preceding text and which is the highlighted text because it doesn't really tell us that. But let's say Haley. No, that's not where we wanted to type that. Haley, the protagonist, has been feeling ambivalent about her work has happened. So let's call that preceding text and then let's give it.
Yep, I'll be there in 2. Just message.
If you could just make sure your mics are muted. So we're gonna see how this works with Prequel Simulator to see if I did it right. Okay, this did not do what it explained it was going to do. I'm just not understanding it. Maybe I shouldn't have demonstrated this plugin because it's not what I thought it was. But long before Haley and her sisters tended to the Nexus heart in the brilliant garden, there existed a time when the world of Fairy Sphere was in turmoil. Land was plagued by a great darkness. Okay, so this does go along with what it says for generating a prequel. I just thought it incorporated information into the text, getting it confused with a different plugin, which does pretty much that. So the ancient Fey Guardians, led by the legendary Elder Freya, fought valiantly. So this is basically the synopsis for a prequel, which is what I should have expected the plugin to do because that's what it's called. It just, the description of it was not written in a way that suggested that's what it actually did. But this would give me a whole prequel to write. I could expound upon this if I wanted to write a prequel for this story. And it must use either Mixtral or maybe Mistral Medium or something. 264 credits, super cheap. Maybe it was Haiku, I'm not sure. But this gave us a good amount of information for a prequel story, 475 words of a synopsis. So if you have something you've written and you like the world, but you'd like to know more about it, even if you don't write the prequel, that it gives you the idea for it, you could use this as background information to inform the story that you're writing, which I think is pretty cool too. And let's just close all of these so I stop getting confused. Cultivate a culture. I thought this one was pretty cool. This plugin was written by Colm Dalton. It's medium credit usage. And it says, unlock the depths of your world's culture. Elevate your storytelling with a meticulously crafted and culturally rich fictional world. So this will also give us this will generate, instead of just extracting world building elements from the text like the first plugin we demonstrated today, this will extract elements, but also, let's see, it looks at preceding text, highlighted text, brain dump, genre, and synopsis. And then it says, please analyze the provided story and consider the world building elements necessary to create a realistic and culturally rich fictional setting. Incorporate the following cultural elements. After analyzing the story, provide a well-structured framework for world building that aligns with the story's context and themes. Create a culturally rich, immersive setting that adds depth and authenticity to the narrative. So we're going to go back to this chapter here. We're going to highlight it, and we are going to run it on Cultivate a Culture. And I'm guessing this is a Claude model because it's taken a little while to get started. It's thinking. I thought it was about to give me something. Still thinking. Actually, this says it ran, so let's try refreshing this and see if we have a card. Okay, it did generate a card. It just didn't want to show it to me. So here's a structured framework for world building in the fairy sphere. We have language. We have them communicating telepathically. And this added a bit of information about how the elders of each region serve as memory keepers, transmitting knowledge through communal telepathic rituals. We have their religion and belief systems with the firebird as the symbol of light and life. Traditions and rituals with rejuvenation festivals is something I had not considered. Cuisine and food consists of bioluminescent plants, nano-infused nutrients, and energy-rich substances tailored to sustain diverse biological needs. We have arts and aesthetics, including holographic displays that capture the essence of nature's beauty. I kind of like that. Clothing styles, social structure, households forming networks of support that transcend biological relations. I like that. Mythology and folklore, values and norms. Taboos include disrupting the cosmic energy flow or exploiting resources for personal gain at the expense of communal well-being. I like that. That does fit with my story. That gave us just under 500 words. And no, that's not the button I meant to click. I wish that was just a opening in a new tab instead of sending me to a new page. But that was 851 credits to run this on this story, which is currently 1,300 words long, at least this version of the chapter. Then we had an even more interesting plugin, Conlang Creator, which Mosh Pit only posted about in Discord this morning, and I was like, gotta check this out. There is another Conlang plugin. I believe it's called Conlinguistics. You can play with that one too. I've already played with that one and haven't played with this one yet. It will create a fictional language for a specific group, whether it's a fantasy race, an alien species, a lineage of vampires, or whatever you got. It is an inexpensive one, only 1 out of 4 on the credit usage scale. I appreciate the getting down to business in the description here. If you want to half-ass the plugin, you can open your project, run this plugin, type in the name of the group that needs a language via the user text input, and hit go. Voila. But the best way to use this plugin is to add a new blank document to your project, which I did. Name the document. In the blank document, write up some thoughts about how the group communicates. You don't need to repeat anything that's already in the world building card. We don't have world building cards, so it's not gonna get that information. Highlight those random thoughts, run the plugin, keep those random thoughts highlighted. When the pop-up pops up, type in the name of the group. The group we're going to be typing in is fairies, and the plugin will generate a report, and you can insert the report into the page for safekeeping. This plugin looks at genre, synopsis, outline, salient characters, salient world building elements, and highlighted text. That means it's not looking at the raw character and world building sections. It's using the important points that that are summarized by the saliency engine. This plugin runs on Claude 3.5 Sonnet. If you have questions about what the saliency engine is, we can talk about that after we stop the recording here. Oh, this is cool. You can see how your conlang, and conlang is a portmanteau for constructed language. In case you were curious, and I haven't been paying attention to chat, so maybe that was already pointed out. But you can see how your conlang sounds by pasting the IPA translation transcriptions into this site, and then we can check that out afterwards. And he was nice enough to put his Discord ID if you have any questions or feedback. So, as it mentioned, it's going to give us a pop-up window for user text input, and then genre, synopsis, outline, characters, world building, highlighted text. And then these are the instructions. These are some really cool instructions for creating a new language. So, I'm not entirely certain what we're going to get here. Nope. Click on the right thing, con language text. So, I need to follow the instructions here. Write up some thoughts about how the group communicates. How do we want these fairies to communicate? Fairies can communicate telepathically, but they also have a vocal language that is spoken aloud. Both nature, magic, and technology coexist in this world and are spoken of as natural things. Um, I don't know what else we're going to put in here.
Here.
Let's see. Their language is flowery and no, musical and poetic because they have time to appreciate beauty. Nope, that's not how you spell beauty. So we're going to highlight that text. We're going to select Conlang Creator from our plugins menu. Which group needs a language? It's going to be the fairies. And it's going to look at my story Bible. Now let's see. Based on the provided context, I've developed a comprehensive conlang for the fairies of the fairy sphere. This language, which I'll call Lumina, reflects the unique aspects of fairy cultures, physiology, and history within the Dyson sphere. We have phonology, and it lists what the consonants are, the vowels, diphthongs, syllable structure, consonant, vowel, consonant, the stress generally on the penultimate syllable, syllable, I guess that would be. The phonology is designed to be melodious and flowing, reflecting the musical nature of fairy communication. Morphology, we've got, this is, if you know anything about linguistics, this is pretty cool. No grammatical gender, numbers, cases, verbs with tenses, aspects, and moods, adjectives, agree with nouns and number, and then we've got suffixes for comparative and superlative, syntax, subject, object, verb. We've got a lexicon with words that appeared in the prose, including light, wing, nature, technology, star, balance, harmony. This is really cool. And you can take these words and like this right here. Like, what is this? How is that word pronounced? The plugin had a link to another site here. So we're going to take, it puts the slashes on either side already. So we're going to copy and paste everything, including this apostrophe. And here we go. E-A. It's pronounced E-A. E-T-H-E. E-A. Interesting. I'm curious about this one too. Word for unity in this constructed language. Siri. Okay. Interesting because the X is pronounced X. And we have orthography, pragmatics, and sociolinguistics. It includes prefixes for elders or respected figures, friends or equals, and intimate partners or family members. Unique features include a grammatical feature called harmony alignment, where certain words change their form slightly to create euphonious combinations. That is pretty cool. Fly in harmony. The lights are energizing the garden. Elder Solana will balance technology and nature. So, okay, this has short dialogue, language evolution. We got 634 words, and some of those words were really cool ones. And let's just see, 4,601 credits. That is an absolute bargain for creating the basics of a constructed language, because you can totally take what you get here and build on it from there, to create more vocabulary based on these rules. So that's fascinating, and I am definitely going to play more with that later. And then I like this one, the most colorful alien planet. This was a plugin created by Kaylin. It's got medium credit usage. Says provides prompts and examples of an alien planet in the style of Spore and No Man's Sky. I loved playing Spore back in the day, and if you never played that game, it was great, and I wish they would update it for modern systems, is all I can say, because it was a great evolutionary game. One example can be a planet 2/3 the size of Earth, but the oceans are red, the skies are magenta, the sands are green, the dirt is dark blue, and most life can vary from pseudo-realistic, fantastical, wacky, or beyond one's comprehension of reality. In fact, a planet doesn't have to have life either. A planet can have a lava ocean, noxious green skies and grayish-purple sands and rocks, or an ice ocean with all wintry life. So let's see. Ask Sudowrite for any descriptive examples ranging from simple, intermediate, complex, or essay style for crafting a fantastically vivid alien planet should you run out of ideas on what colors and patterns your planet has. So while this isn't necessarily a planet, we're just going to say, I'm assuming this looks at highlighted text because it doesn't specify. We're going to say the quote unquote planet of fairy sphere is actually a Dyson sphere containing multiple ecosystems. Please provide an essay style description of the quote unquote planet. I don't know what it looks at. I'm assuming it's just highlighted text, but we will find out. Most colorful alien planet. The planet of Fairy Sphere is a wondrous realm enveloped within the confines of a Dyson sphere, a colossal megastructure designed to harness the energy of a star. Cool, it knows that. Within this ethereal enclosure, multiple ecosystems flourish, each one a harmonious blend of nature, magic, and technology. So this probably looks at preceding text too, because we have that information we used for the conlaying plugin. Fairies, the inhabitants of this enchanting world, possess the extraordinary ability to communicate, both telepathically and through a melodious vocal language that resonates with beauty and poetry. Flora and fauna appear to be infused with magic, emanating vibrant colors and enchanting scents that speak to the deep connection between all life forms in this magical realm. The air itself seems to shimmer with energy, carrying whispers of ancient knowledge and untold mysteries. I didn't expect it to go on about the language with that information there. The Dyson sphere that encases Fairy Sphere serves as both a protective barrier against external threats and a source of limitless energy that sustains the diverse ecosystems within. The intricate design of the megastructure mirrors the intricacies of life within its bounds, symbolizing balance between natural forces, magical energies, and technological advancements. In conclusion, Fairy Sphere is a realm unlike any other, a place where nature's wonders, mystical powers, and futuristic innovations converge in a perfect harmony. It is a testament, oh boy, to the boundless creativity and imagination of its inhabitants who embrace the beauty of their world with open hearts and minds. Okay, so that didn't really give us a great physical description, probably because I didn't give it much to work with. But let's come up with another alien planet. An alien planet populated by, let's say, cat people with Bronze Age technology. So they have not destroyed their environment. Let's see what it will do with just that information. Great, what would you like me to do with this passage of text? That wasn't super helpful. I forgot to check how many credits it took us before. The first run of the most colorful alien planet was 115 credits. So what I forgot to tell it, please provide let's try bullet pointed description of this planet. Sometimes you don't understand the instructions of a plugin, and if it's not too expensive, you can just run it again and not worry about it. So we have planet name, unknown. So it didn't name the planet for us. The inhabitants are cat people. Technological level, Bronze Age. Environmental status, intact, not destroyed. I like that. I like that. Unique features. We have lush forests and diverse wildlife, harmonious relationship between the cat people and nature, intricate cave systems used for shelter and ceremonies, mysterious ancient ruins scattered across the landscape. It describes the society, religions, and beliefs and challenges, including occasional natural disasters disrupting their peaceful existence and encounters with outsiders posing a threat to their way of life, including detailed physical descriptions. Let's because this seems to be a pretty cheap plugin, we can run it several times. Oh, it gave us a planet name this time, Felinia, because feline, because we're going for the obvious here. But now we have verdant forest filled with towering trees and colorful flora, crystal clear rivers meandering through the landscape, rolling hills dotted with wildflowers and tall grass. Oh, it gave us physical descriptions of the Felinians as well, which is fun. Um, and basically it's just a description of what cat people would look like based on cats. Um, so okay, yeah, it didn't I was half expecting it to just give me something where it described different colors for the oceans and the skies and the ground and stuff like that, but it didn't. It gave us some pretty rich descriptions, which I bet we could get even better results if we actually thought about what we wanted it to come up with for us. And it did not cost over 100 credits anytime except the first time when I ran it on the other text. So that was pretty cheap and fun. So if you're trying to come up with a whole new world, oh gosh, that's a song. Um, you can give the most colorful alien planet a try. And along the same lines, I found another plugin called, nope, that's not the right. Huh, okay. I was looking at different plugins and I chose some and didn't choose others. So we are going to look for Country Forger, I believe what it was called. Yes. Um, Let me just correct this in my document here. Nope. so that I can have it right for you when I share the links. Okay, we don't need this anymore. Country Forger, created by Elysium. It's medium high credit usage, so I'm not quite sure how much this will run us. But this plugin helps you create a country or region using information in your story Bible. It will provide a detail list of the location's crucial information in seconds to use. Fill in your story Bible with as much information about your story and world as you want. Write down a word describing the kind of location you like to create, then immediately behind it, write any special instruction, highlight it. So this looks like it's preceding text, highlighted text. So the preceding text is the type of location, and in this example, it says nation and its most important city, and specific instruction, which you would highlight. The nation was originally unified from 3 different warring city-states. The theme of the story is war and honor. So if we go back to my um, my fairy story, we will just take a look at this. This will be the country forger test. And region called, let's see, this region is called, and let's take a look at what we got here because I don't remember. And that's not the right one. We didn't run the plugins in that version of chapter 1. It was this version of chapter 1. And I wanted to extract your brilliant garden. We're going to look at brilliant garden. And then the stuff we're going to highlight should be specific instruction. This brilliant garden is home to the protagonist, Haley, and her family. And she has never left home before. So we're going to highlight this and just see what it gives us. Based on the extensive details provided, let's flesh out the location of Brilliant Garden within the fairy sphere. Cultural hallmark. It is renowned for its focus on intellectual pursuits and the arts. As a hub for communication within the Dyson sphere, it naturally attracts scholars, thinkers, poets, and artists who seek to understand the complexities of their world. The region celebrates an annual festival of lights where innovative light sculptures represent new ideas and discoveries. It's a place where freedom of expression is highly valued, and its inhabitants are encouraged from a young age to explore various forms of creativity. I like that. That's kind of cool. History. Brilliant Garden was established as one of the initial biodomes engineered by the colonist ancestors, intended to serve as a nexus for research and development. So I did have information in my story Bible about how the Dyson sphere was created and colonized by humans. So this story actually takes place in the far future when humans have not only figured out how to make a Dyson sphere happen, they have built it, and humans have evolved into fairies because of the unique biology inside the Dyson sphere, which it describes here as humanity evolved into diverse fairy beings. It transformed into a lush utopia. Ruins of ancient laboratories have become sites of pilgrimage for those seeking to connect with their past and understand the original purpose of Fairy Sphere. However, much of this history has faded into legend. We have economy and political stances. Services are rendered to the community. Services rendered to the community determine one's standing. Region specializes in high-grade botanicals used for medicinal purposes and communication technologies that facilitate telepathic links across Fairy Sphere. Politically seen as neutral territory. We have significant factions and people, which it did take it took Elder Solana from my story Bible, but it gave me a new master botanist, Esander Thorn, and high communicator Vela Sunspire. They were not in my story Bible. We have an example settlement of Luminous Haven with districts, markets and shops, inns, and landmarks. We got 586 words of information about this region called Brilliant Garden, which is the equivalent of a country in this story. And it cost 6,120 credits, which, considering it read Story Bible, did it mention which parts? No, it did not tell us how much of Story Bible it looked at. It did look at Story Bible, and it looked at my highlighted text, and it gave us this information. It's not a cheap plugin, but it could be super worth it so that you don't have to develop all of this background information on your own if that's something that you could get lost in thinking about for months at a time without actually writing it down, which is kind of how my world building goes when it comes to epic stories. This is one of my plugins. I actually added it today as an updated version of my original world building plugin for consistency in world building. It was called Brain Dump Magic and More, and it is one of the highlighted plugins in the world building categories, although they call it systems check to let you know basically what it does, checking your prose against the details of your world for storytelling consistency. It used to work with Brain Dump because we didn't have world building in Story Bible, so I made a new one that looks at your world building section instead. The original is still available, called Brain Dump Magic and More, or if you don't have world building filled out, you can put all of that information in your brain dump and run it against the prose you have to make sure you don't have any inconsistencies there. And this one will look at your raw world building data, plus genre, style, and highlighted text. This basically you put all that world building into the world building section of Story Bible and run this plugin to check each chapter for consistency. Oh, I asked a question that's the question. What's an author to do? That's what. This plugin will compare your highlighted text to your Story Bible and rewrite it to correct any discrepancies. This version the old version used Mixtral Instruct. This one uses Claude 3.5 Sonnet. And like I said before, it looks at world building raw, it looks at genre, style, and your highlighted text. I've written it so that you can highlight up to 20,000 words, but I suggest you highlight 8,000 words or less, because the maximum length of the output it can provide you is 4,000 words. So depending on what it thinks needs to be rewritten. You don't want to exceed that by too much, just to give it enough room to rewrite the sections that are not consistent with your world building. So, because I don't have more than one story that has a completed world building section, we're going to take a look at this one chapter of the book I'm writing. We're going to run this real quick here. Consistent world building. This is just looking at chapter 11 of my novel. And I'm not going to read this all out loud for the recording. No inconsistencies found. Congratulations. Cool, because I selected a chapter that is an entire info dump, and because I wanted to make sure that was still kosher, everything, and just so you know how I wrote it, I did say if there are no inconsistencies, don't rewrite the text. Respond only with the text. No inconsistencies found. Congratulations. If there are inconsistencies in the highlighted text, reference both genre and style to rewrite the text to match the information contained in the world building. So I really thought there would be inconsistencies here, and there weren't. So that wasn't really helpful. However, I don't think I have a better chapter to run it on, so you'll have to take my word for it that it will rewrite stuff if you have inconsistent information between what you filled out in world building and what is actually in your prose. And then last, because we are at top of the hour at 5 o'clock, so we're running just right on schedule here, as long as this loads. This was also created by Mosh Pit. It is also very cheap. It uses Claude 3.5 Sonnet. So I'm not sure why it's given us one lightning bolt here, but hey, who knows? This is very unreliable way to evaluate credit usage. So do with that information what you will. This plugin compiles the traits from a world building card into a coherent description in paragraph form. If you make changes to your world building traits in Story Bible but want to maintain accurate world building documents outside of Story Bible, this plugin can help. It uses Claude 3.5 Sonnet. When you launch the plugin, enter the name of the world building element or elements you want descriptions for. If you hit go without entering anything, you'll get descriptions of all your non-hidden world building elements. So we're going to go back to my story here, and I'm just going to I'm going to ask it for magic system is what we're going to do. Compile world building descriptions. Magic system. Because I'd like to see what it will tell me from that card. Nope, I should have run it on this one, but okay, we'll go back to this chapter. And I might have just, ruined it by navigating away. Nope, here we go. Magic system in this world revolves around warlocks who bond with demons in their dreams, gaining access to supernatural abilities. Different types of demons grant varying strengths with its magical abilities, with warlocks having limited access to powers outside their bonded demon specialties. For instance, imps like Zizix and Avanava excel in mind magic and spatial magic, while other demons may specialize in elemental magic. Okay, it's not everything about my magic system, but it may be just what I have in the world building card for it. So, and that cost us 2,193 credits, and my consistent world building plugin was 2,597 credits. I might test it with Haiku to see if I can get it to also work, but cheaper. I have to find something to test it on where there are things that are conflicting just to make sure it will rewrite them properly. But that's how much it costs right now. So yeah, those were just a few of the world building plugins that exist, and you can find in the plugin directory at editor.sudowrite.com/apps/plugins. And yeah, you can just scroll them and sort by popular or newest to see what you'd like to do, or you can use the search function if you're looking for something specific. Thank you for coming to Plugin School World Building. I hope you learned something today, and I also hope to see you next week because we do Plugin School every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.